everybody. Welcome to Knox Makers. It's Tuesday night. We do our weekly show and share where we talk about projects we're working on, something that we have finished or failed at or still in progress. If we have questions, I have a sign-up list. If anyone's not on the list, wave at me and I will add you to the bottom. But first tonight we have Amy who's showing beetles, literally beetles.
Actually, it was a bag of beetles.
A bag of beetles.
That was a joke. They're not actually literally beetles. I have been meaning to learn how to do printmaking for a while. And I think Andrew, this is not sponsored, mentioned he and his wife started a printmaking shop or community space. So I went to Ashton's first printmaking workshop not this Saturday, the one before that. And I ended up making a print with some beetles. I'm really slow because I don't usually draw much, so this took me a while, which is why you see those gaps here of like, I just did not have time to cut this out because I was in a rush. So I just printed it anyway, and then she told me that I could come back and just finish carving it and print some more later of completed versions. I also meant to carve out this white space more cleanly. Again, did not have time, but I decided that I actually liked the way it looked, so I did never, even when I finished the block, I didn't actually clean them out because I kind of liked the way it looked. So even with this all carved out, I left that the little, I think it's called chatter, but all those lines in there, I just left them. And then I printed it again in, is that visible? It's like orange and red. But yeah, that's my thing. Not actually literally beetles, but.
So what was the thing you carved out?
It was little lino blocks, linoleum.
Okay.
So yeah, it was lino cut and then oil ink. I think it was oil-based ink. Yeah. Yeah. So after you carve the material out of the block, you take ink, roll it onto the rolly thing, like a thin layer of ink onto that, and then you roll it onto the surface, and obviously it just sticks to that high part that you didn't carve out, and then you put a piece of paper on top, and then you press it in the press.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is that your design from your head?
Yeah, I was looking at photos of beetles, but yeah, I just made things that vaguely, because I'm not like actually really good at drawing, so I went purposely abstract because I knew I couldn't do realism. So yeah, thanks. And then kind of last minute, I decided on the textures after I had carved out the bodies. Yeah, I didn't really have a plan there until I did it. Thanks.
Lovely beetles. Next on our list, we have Tracy, who is showing off a silly hat.
Hi, I'm Tracy. I don't know how to work this at all, but okay, so hopefully that's helping out. Sorry. Oh.
No, that was my fault.
Was that you or me?
That was me. I don't know what I did. Sorry. I did break it. It was this Tracy. Sorry.
It's all right.
I'll press the green button.
Is that the correct?
So you zoom in there.
Oh, great. Okay, so
Won't touch it again.
okay, so. I don't know. Can you guys see this? I don't know. Okay. So I'll tell you how I made it. So obviously you can see from here is some mesh and foam board. So that screen mesh. I have cue cards because I'm nervous. Okay, so when I measured it to fit my head, and cut the diameter, the circumference out there, I gave about a 1/2 inch to a 3/4 inch allowance because I knew, you're going to pack fabric and everything on top of that. But as it turns out, that's almost not enough anyway because it just builds up really quick. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay. So, let's see. Let me see that. Right, obviously, I use clamps and everything to hold when the hot glue is applied, hold it in place. I wanted this Mad Hatter shape, and it was pretty easy to get, just shaping that and bending that mesh screen, and with the foam board in it, you can see where I could stick in along the sides little pieces to help support that shape, and lots of hot glue. And then I lined the center of it. Let's see, I lined the underside right here. Oops, sorry. This is actually trying to stretch it out farther because it got so tight on my head. But the batting's in there that I got from the fiber department, and then I put this fabric over top. So that's another picture of it. You can see where I put a circular foam board in there that I got from the thrift store, and that was what it looked like all naked. And then let's see. I decided to lay this green fabric, kind of over it when it was upside down, and then grab it through the center and just kind of make a fabric funnel that you could pull down and then push through the hat and fold and tuck and sew it in place. And then, and also around this brim area, you can see the fabric has this texture. I didn't really notice this corduroy texture. I liked it, but I didn't think about it. So it kind of, all the lines are kind of all directional, but it's still, I like it. I think it's still fun. So then, there it is all pinned in place. There's the top, and let's see, I found that even though I cut it larger than my head measurement, it was still pretty snug. But let's see. So there it is, pinned and tucked in place. There's this little pouch I sewed so that I could put this half of a sun sphere in here that we printed on our 3D printer, and it took about 20 hours to do this size, but it came out pretty good. There's a few lines, but it came out pretty good. And then I just made that pouch in the center to hold it up. And then I found this vinyl from an old couch we had and kind of made a belt there. And now I just get to decorate it with stuff, and I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to say. Yeah, it came out kind of more understated than I thought it would, but you can add lights and buzzers and whistles and whatever else when you make those things. I'm definitely going to make more. But that was it.
Will you model it?
Oh, yeah, I'll try. But just, hopefully it stretched out a bit. Okay, so. Thanks, guys.
Where did you say you were going to wear it?
I'm sorry? Oh, it was just an idea I got because the Big Ears Festival's coming up, and that just made me think of parades and fun stuff, so. Anything else? Hi, Amy.
Did you glue down the seats on the red fabric, or did you sew it first?
So I used lots of hot glue. Is that what you're asking? Oh,
yes.
so much hot glue and so many burns. Wear gloves if you do this. Wear gloves, seriously. So it's not real neat and pretty up close, but this is kind of a prototype. So now that I've done it, I can go back and do it better. So, anything else? All right.
next up is Amos, who has a soldering iron case.
This is just a quick follow-up on a discussion in the electronics channel on Mattermost, because there was some talk about the Pine 64 soldering iron, and at the what's the Toy Tech in December, I showed off the case I had then for my Pine 64, and that came from this little printed. Let's see if we can. So this was just something I found on printables, and whenever you see a model like this online and it's not printed, it's always like, okay, is this gonna work if I print it? Well, I took a chance on it and I printed it out, and this is what I wound up with. It's this little box here. So this is just a parametric model someone made. I think it's OpenSCAD. They made the box, and it just uses a little bit of M3 hardware to stick it together. Has these little flexure joints on the inside, and then you get this nice little kit to put everything in. And so I've got my high temperature sponge, some metal to scrape stuff away, a tin, soldering tin. So these things are pretty great if you've never used them before. It's just like tin and a bunch of flux stuck together, and you just dip your tip in there, and even if it's highly corroded, it fixes it. But it also has this cool little thing here. So I took one of those RS bearings that has the ball bearings that has the rubber cap. You just pick that rubber cap out, get rid of all the oils just by soaking it in isopropyl, and then this bit goes in there, and now you've got a little stand for it. And then it's got some solder right here on the spool, so you have basically everything you need to solder well. But there's one thing else that I was going to add on to it. I have kind of an obsession with making all my tools battery operated, because you never know when you need to do spontaneous engineering in the middle of a field in Kansas. And so I happen to be on Team Yellow Tool, not sponsored. But they also make these little things I found recently that go on the tools and give you USB-C PD with 100 watts, and it's symmetric, so it can charge the battery and supply power. So then you can just plug in your tool, although I think I have maybe the wrong cable put in here when I was putting it together. Let's see if it works, though. But it should be. So the thing is that I think that 100 watts is only on the USB-C, and I got a USB-C to A cable in here by mistake. But let's see if it powers on. Yeah, it says DC low, so I really need a USB-C to see. The cable that came with this was this really stiff, like way high gauge DeWalt, and it was too stiff to fit back in the case. But anyway, I really need a C to C that coils in there nicely. But anyway, neat little case. I'll put the link to the files on, I guess, the show and share channel. And if anybody else wants one, they can print one out.
I have a kind of dumb question.
Mhm.
How do you pronounce P-E-N-E-C-I-L?
P-E, pencil. I think I've been saying either Pinesil or pencil. I'm not really sure. I think it's Pinesil is what they want. But yeah, neat little soldering iron. Other question? Yeah. This is inland green PLA for the exterior, and this is the terracotta Prusament PETG for the interior. I wanted the PETG because it has to flex slightly to grab the components, and PETG is just a little bit more compliant that way. And then I've got my alternate tips over here if I need to change out for that. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm new here, and I don't really know much about 3D printers, but the green and the brown, you made all that work with the 3D printer?
Yeah, so these are actually, I didn't even glue it in, but these are separate pieces. I think, yeah, so this is just one tray, and then there's another one. So they just kind of, you could put a dot of glue on the back and then it would stay, but it's just two separate pieces that way. And then a PLA enclosure, and these are just made on I guess, two separate print periods, about 12 hours each. do both of them. Yeah, I'll put a link to this too. I saw this was like a new product on the DeWalt page, and I was like, I have a use of that. That'd be handy. And it's great because then you can just like plug it into the wall and charge the battery, and then unplug it from the wall and plug it into the tool, and it works that way. It's just like awesome. So. All right. Yeah.
So did you have to design the case, or was that?
No, I found it. I found it, but nobody had printed it yet. So when you find things that nobody have printed, it's always an adventure as to whether or not it actually works, because usually the first print of a thing, it's wrong. And actually, I did have to reprint these inner cases because I thought I tried to kind of match the colors of the Pine Sol theme, you know? And initially, I printed the interior out of bamboo wood filament. And I had to reprint it because bamboo filaments tend to be pretty brittle, and so it actually broke when I push things in. So pick the same color, do it out of a flexible material, move on. All right.
Things I did not know I needed. I'm definitely going to look that up. Last on our list tonight, we have Ed, who has a box for scissors.
Just so you all know, I commissioned Ed. Actually, I had some help commissioning Ed. I had asked for a box because I had gotten some new scissors for fiber arts. And so now we have really good pinking shears. We have something that's, we have really good fabric scissors, and I even got lefties for those of you who might need that. And another pair of scissors that are used for, they're called duckbill scissors, so for applique work. But I thought I would like to have something besides that little plastic crate to stash the scissors in. So I had asked for a box, and I had kind of designed one in my head, and then Ed graciously agreed to do it. It wasn't exactly what I had in my head, but you know what? It's better. So I'm going to let him talk about it.
Yeah, so how this all kind of got started was Brian kind of saw me twiddling my thumbs, just having a bunch of lumber, not knowing what to do. And we were talking about making a box, you know, having for scissors. And then eventually I went up to Sue and I asked, you know, what were the plans, what she had in mind, and all this. There's some interesting features with this box. So it doesn't have a bottom, if you guys can see this. And the purpose for that was that if anything were to get inside, we just want it to fall out, you know, easy to be cleaned. But the top is actually fixed, and it actually has a kind of abnormal design to hold the scissors. So I believe when Sue was making the plans, what she wanted to do was to have this type of kind of keyhole of a design so that the scissors can fit through up into the bolt. So instead of being stuck right here, they can actually sink in a bit further if you pick the right hole. Maybe another time.
That's right. Yeah. So they can go,
Yeah.
It will stop.
Yeah. So this was kind of tricky to do these type of holes because you're trying to put a square into a circle, and it's pretty complicated. What I ended up doing was just drilling out all the circles and then kind of eyeballing where the square should be, and I used the mortise and tenon, or the mortise thing that we have. And that made pretty short work of this, which is really nice. For these joints, what I did was simply cut them at a 45, so if you can see these, right? And then I glued everything all up together, and then I put these splines made out of the same material so they can kind of be hidden, but a little bit of an accent so it looks nice. And then I believe the final thing was to add these, which I don't know what these are.
Well, first I asked for handles so I
Yeah.
could hold it. And I thought the handles would just be on the bottom, but it's like, well, that might be a little top heavy. So he did the handles up higher for me. So these are actually, I enlisted Brian and Leather as well, because these are little snips. All right, so They fit really nicely in the front. Now, the next piece on the other side are going to be more cups to hold the rotary cutters, because I don't know about you guys, but sticking my hand down into that bag, I'm always afraid the person ahead of me did not put the safety on the rotary cutter. So getting them out and onto this would be very good. So thank you, Ed,
Oh, yeah.
for making this for us.
Yes. Don't.
So for the leather to the box, was it rivets or what's the case? Is that upholstery tab?
Upholstery tabs.
I have no idea. This is like buried. Yeah, this is like buried deep in this. It's a hardwood. Like, yeah. It was
Wide
wide
enough
open.
wood, he said, okay.
So these are scissors we can
Yeah.
cut like copper foil and cardboard with, right?
I think that's a question for you. They want to know if we could just use those scissors over in the woodworking.
Oh, no, not electronics either, and no 3D printing, no. Find your own scissor box for that.
Maybe you shouldn't have told us.
I'm actually thinking about, we have the little by the embroidery machine, there's a little pair of scissors that hang on the cupboard. 2 have managed to walk away and have lost their way, cannot find their way home. I'm hoping that they will come home. I'm hoping they just kind of snuck in some member's bag as they were trying to collect something and hurry home. But I'm actually thinking about putting an elastic band on those scissors to make sure they don't grow legs and walk away again.
What if these scissors Can't do that.
I think you might see a different side of Sue than you're used to. Good thing Ed's holding these. I'll just say that.
Any other questions? Great. Thanks.
So what this is telling me is that if you want to practice your skills and you don't know what to make, you can just ask around, and there's always projects, and then you have a part of yourself at Knox Makers, because that's how we roll. That's all I've got for projects. So if you do that, then you will also get a show and share out of it. We have some classes coming up. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock is hand tool sharpening and setup, so you can work on, I think Brian has some hand planes and chisels here, but maybe you can bring your own and get some advice on how to sharpen that and set it up. On Thursday, this Thursday at 6:30, we have woodshop authorization, so if you're interested in making amazing scissors holders, you can get authorized in the woodshop. That is to touch anything in the woodshop, you need to go through the class. Sunday on the 26th is a fiber arts class at 1 p.m., small repairs with hand sewing. So you can bring in projects if maybe your clothes got burned in a campfire, or if you tore something, you can bring it in and get some advice and help with fixing, putting on a button, repairing a hem, something like that. And Thea is teaching that, yes? Excellent. Also coming up, there are 3 embroidery machine authorization classes on Sunday at 10, on Wednesday the 29th at 6:30, and on Saturday the 1st at 1 p.m. So we got our fancy new embroidery machine. Sue is chugging people through, getting people authorized on that so you can make cool patches and learn how that works. And then next Thursday, the 30th at 7 p.m. is the new member onboarding. If you're interested in membership, if you're a trial member, you have to take that in order to become a full member and get your key. So sign up for that next Thursday. And then any other classes or events you can find on knoxmakers.org/events. And we also have a date for our next make sale, which will be June 11th. That's in a couple months. We're going to open up the vendor sign up soon. I think, have we fully decided on prices? $40 for vendors to have a booth, and $20 if you are a member of Knox Makers. So that will be open soon for sign up, and keep an eye on Mattermost for that. I need one volunteer to empty the trash tonight. Anybody? Anybody? Thank you. And I think the air filters are good, but if anyone wants to take a peek at them, feel free. And that's all I've got. If you have any questions about membership, or if you've never been here and you want a tour, find someone with a red badge. Otherwise, go make cool things. Thanks for coming.